snowy Saturday morning. I think we have just the perfect task force today. So Crater Health District is having what is the largest COVID vaccination clinic, I think, in their history. I know many of you, I see Richmond and Henrico, and I'm sure you've worked over at the racetrack and others. But for this smaller district, rural district, this is by far the biggest event that we're having. So it's a 65-plus event. And as you know, many of our seniors, and you'll see when you get your list, you'll have some people in your 80s and 90s. So what you're doing is a real service to get these people signed up. And as I said in my first bullet, I registered about 20 people yesterday, and it really was rewarding to let these seniors know, many of which have been, cooped up in their house for months, to know that, your name has finally come up on the wait list, and the reason I'm calling is to set your appointment. So for me, that was very rewarding. And just so you know, my role, I work for Danny Avula, the vaccine czar, and I'm in charge of all vaccine delivery for all local health departments. So, I'm kind of at a big picture guy, but I'm stepping in to help, plan this 2,000 person pod, which will be next Friday at Petersburg High School. So what I've done here is I've done a very detailed, for some of you that are really tech savvy, you'll say, well, gosh, Bill, you've just given us too much detail. It's too detailed. But then for other people, I think it should be about right. So I'm going to go on and walk through this, and then we'll demonstrate it kind of on a live demo. And so what we're doing is we're registering people via a relatively new tool called PrepMod. So as I said, many of our seniors have challenges navigating technology. So what you're going to do is walk them through the process over the phone, and then at the end you'll say, Mr. Jones, we're going to obtain your verbal consent, and then I'm going to put my first initial and my last name next to your last name to just designate, that you and I talked about these screening questions on the phone. So as I said here, we realize that technology is a significant impediment for a lot of our older folks and others with disabilities and other types of folks without access to technology. So very soon here, the governor will be announcing a 750-person call center that will be both taking outgoing calls, but in another couple of weeks, this task will fall to this large call center. So you guys are, in many ways, the first group to do this significant outreach, and I think you'll find, like me, it's very rewarding. So here's the process. So I'm going to email each volunteer an Excel sheet with contact information for 15 people. Okay, we're registering 2,000, and my thought was we're going to get roughly 200 people here today. And so I'll email you a Excel sheet as well as this document that we're looking at, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. And it'll have a very small password protection with it because we've got people's names and information. So we want to make sure, that the information goes only to you and only you can open it. And as you can see here, we've got some people that are, up in their age. So as I said, each spreadsheet will have a very simple password, which will come in an email to you along with a copy of this Word document that I'm talking about. So what we want to try to do is our very best to reach each person on the phone call. But if after several tries the individual doesn't answer, just move on to the next person on the list. I really do not recommend that you leave a message just because we really don't want these people calling you back later. And then the other problem is, as you know, if you volunteered before, when you leave a message, other people that the message is not intended for, may pick it up. So, but really your goal here is to register 10 people, okay? So you've got 15 people on your list, and if all 15 people you're able to reach, and again, we'll tell you what the time frame is, And then, if you reach the first 10 people, then you stop and you'll return the list to me. So that's when your task is complete, when you've done all 10. So if you register a spouse and the other spouse is there but not on the list, we've been saying, it's just pragmatic to do both spouses at the same time. So if you encounter a situation where, Bill Edmonds is on the list but his wife is not, and she's 65 or older or someone with an underlying medical condition, it's certainly fine to register one and then register the second person. All right. So once you finish with an individual, if you registered the person in the system, and we'll show you exactly how to do that, on the spreadsheet, make the designation green. So those who are not familiar with it, here's an Excel sheet. All you do is that. So if this were the full name, you just go like that, and that would show me, that you registered Bill Edmonds. So again, we'll go through this in real life in just a minute. So yellow means you're unable to reach the person. So again, if you've called, me like, 2 or 3 times and you couldn't reach me, just mark it yellow. And what this means is after this exercise, we'll keep, William Edmonds, myself, we'll keep me on the Crater wait list. But obviously, if they didn't answer the phone after, several tries, then, we'll just skip over them, but they won't lose their place on the waiting list. So they'll still be on there. Now, the third thing that has happened in a number of instances is someone is already vaccinated. They got vaccinated through the CVS, or they got vaccinated through the local drugstore, but, they weren't taken off the list. So again, on that same list, all you're doing is marking the person with an orange. So again, green is for, yes, you reached them. Yellow is for, I tried several times but could not reach them. And orange means, this person has already received the vaccination or has an appointment. So what we'll do for the orange people is just take them completely off the list, as we will for those people that have the green, because the green people are the ones that you're setting appointments for, okay? All right. So start calling today, as soon as possible, and we'd like for you to complete all calls, including any repeat calls, by Tuesday at noon. You'll find each call should take between 5 and 10 minutes. I started off taking about 10 minutes, and after I'd done maybe 4 or 5, I was really able to complete the call in 5 minutes because, you quickly know how to navigate through the screens. But you'll find as we walk through this, there are some things that if you're not tech savvy, like some of our seniors or some of our other populations, this would be difficult. And I can foresee, depending on how much volume our call center is able to take, that this may become a regular activity, especially as we try to reach special populations about making these calls. All right, so what I've done, and again, you'll see each page is numbered, and I've tried to be extremely explicit. So basically, here's your phone script. So you're going to have, this Excel sheet with these people's names on it, and you just start off by saying, may I speak with Cynthia Jones? And her typical response will be, who is calling? Then you use this script, my name is Bill Edmonds. I'm a volunteer working with the Virginia Department of Health, and I'm calling to offer you an appointment to receive a COVID-19 vaccine at Petersburg High School on Friday, February 19th, 2021. Can I help you set an appointment via phone? Now, this is when several people broke down in tears and just, I'm so thankful, thank you so much, And then I think out of the 20 people I called, I had one response of, well, gosh, why did it take you so long? And, just have to, just be as polite as you can and just say, Mr. Edmonds, we have a wait list and we're faithfully working the wait list, and now is your turn. So we're delighted to be able to set that phone call for you, set that appointment for you. And then your next thing would be something like, okay, who do we say? Okay, Ms. Jones, I just need to gather some information from you and ask you a few screening questions. Then you can pick an appointment time. So the way you get started is to take this this link right here, and you can either right-click to copy it, and generally it's best to use a Google browser, and then you just right-click again, paste it in there, and up comes your form, okay? So again, we'll go back to our demo, but here I've shown exactly how to do that. So if you don't want to do right-click, you just, highlight the link here. Again, this is all in the document, and then you copy, and then you go and paste it in your browser up here, okay? Now, the one issue that sometimes comes up is if you're not able to see these two blue buttons at the bottom, that may mean that you need to adjust the browser settings to take it from 100 to 75. Now, generally, if you're using Google Chrome, this shouldn't be an issue. But just so, if you, get this up, and let's go back to what I just did, see, you can see the fact that that didn't come up means the browser settings work well with Google Chrome. So I'm just kind of pointing this out. So if you get this and you do not see these at the very start, then you'll know your problem is here, and then adjust that down from 100 to 75. Okay, and this shows all the appointments that are available. And again, this is a large clinic. Okay, so again, to reset your browser settings to 75, and again, this is obviously very elementary for some of you, just click there and then go here and go minus down to 75, okay? And then, as always, you hit continue to keep going. All right, so then you'll resume your phone script, and basically, and again, obviously you do what works for you, and generally you want to call the person by their first name. You certainly can say Ms. Jones, but so Mary, I now need to ask you a series of questions to register you for an appointment. Are you ready? So what you'll notice up here, like most good application things now, it shows you the different phases that you go through. Again, the person is, other people, and some of you may involve this, we send links out, but we've just found with our seniors, it's better to call them because sometimes they struggle with answering the question. So here's the form that you'll be filling out over the phone based on information they're providing you. So while it has a fair amount of blocks, you only need, and I recommend you only fill in the blocks with the red asterisk, which is first name, last name. So I would not put middle initial, and I would certainly not ask maiden name. That's an information that, again, we don't need and doesn't end up in the Virginia Immunization Registry. So you see race is a drop-down, ethnicity is a drop-down, and then occupation is a drop-down, and most of these people will be other, which is retired. And then you'll just ask them the date of their birth, or the month of their birth, the date of their birth, and the year, and the age automatically calculates. And generally, you should, based on who you're talking to, it's very easy to know, the gender of the person, male or female. So again, ask only required questions. So your first name, which should be, already on the sheet that you'll get, but you want to confirm that. Their last name, which again should be already on the sheet. The race is a drop-down. The ethnicity is a drop-down. You'll find ethnicity tends to get at Latinx populations. So if the person is a white, it'll be white non-Latino. That would be your it's kind of a subcategory of race. But again, obviously it's very important, for our metrics, because this information, the nice thing about this, I know some of you worked at the racetrack, they're doing paper registration forms. So somebody has to key all this stuff into the Virginia Immunization Registry. by you doing this pre-registration, when the person shows up, they just kind of breeze right on in to get their vaccination. It makes the clinic go a lot faster. So most people will tell you, they're retired, or you can, what I started doing, just saying, are you retired, Ms. Jones? And she says, yes. So that would be other, in your drop down for occupation. And you can see month, date, gender, again, the drop down. All right, so then to complete page 1 of your registration, and again, we'll go back to see that here. So here's page 1 of your registration, and you'll see all the different things on it. And as I said before, as you move from page to page to page to page, again, you'll see some of it's very quick. And then, basically at the end, you end up sending the person an appointment. So to continue with our little explanation. So your email address is something that I find is easier to copy from the spreadsheet. Because, what happens at the end is when you hit continue on the very last screen, the individual will get an email confirming their appointment. And for seniors, this is especially important because a lot of them will say, well, hold on, let me go write all this down. Well, you say, well, Mr. Evans, you can write it down if you'd like, but you'll be getting an email at the end. So, again, off of the Excel sheet, you have last name, first name, phone number, and email. You could just go copy, and then back to the screen I've already got open, and you go into the cell, and, again, using right-click, you just paste. Right-click, paste. And while you certainly can ask them their email and type it, you get into all this, W, Alpha, Bravo, and, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really easier, in my opinion, to, when you've got your list of 15 people, to just, again, copy and paste, again, get in the cell where the email is, copy, and then when you get over to the form, just paste it. Again, it's just a right click, and you'll see paste. Okay? All right. So I've shown you exactly how to do that. So here's your list of all the people. Okay, and here you can see the one email that you want to paste. So you copy, and then you go, into the line that you want to put it into, and when you right-click, it gives you that paste, okay? So, again, that's just exactly what I just showed you, okay? All right, and you repeat that, obviously, for the second email, and the reason there is, while you can type it in, it's, it's difficult with the person speaking, and, So then you continue on with their phone number, and, again, you're going to have their phone number on the drop-down. Actually, here's some. So your phone number on the drop-down, but you want to ask that again, because if some reason the clinic gets canceled or whatever reason, you want to make sure you have the very best number. Their address, their city, their state is a drop-down. So when you go to the state, that's on the next screen, it'll give you all the states. You can just pick Virginia, and then you pick the zip code, and then always at the end of each screen, you save and continue. All right, so that's screen number 1. Now, screen number 2 is insurance, and you go, oh, my gosh, here we go with insurance. Well, the wonderful thing about this program, as you can see here, the vaccines provided at no cost by the government, your insurance not be charged. So all you do is go into the screen and put no insurance and just go to the bottom and push save and continue. So I just say, my script, this is a free federal program, so no insurance is required. And the person will go, wow, that's really great. And you'd say, you know what, that's what the government has chosen to do because this is such an important vaccine. All right, so part 3, and again, when we look at these things up here, so now we're moving to part 3, which is the health questions. Now, you'll find these are very simple questions. You just have to kind of work through them. On most forms, this comes up here, and if the person were doing this on their computer, which, you know, most folks choose to do that if they're computer savvy. But again, we're interviewing all the people over the phone for this exercise. Then what you'll say is, you know, you'll be receiving the Moderna vaccine. All right. All right. So, but, you know, basically we have the sheets for each vaccine at each site, and you can just say you'll be receiving on Friday. But again, they can't see this, you can. But so then, you know, now I'm going to just ask you a series of questions. So for each one, all you do is say, you know, Ms. Jones, is this your first or second vaccine? And if it's not their first vaccine, then you need to say, oh, Ms. Jones, I'm sorry, if you've had your first vaccine, then you wouldn't be eligible for this clinic. So you click second, and you wouldn't continue on with the exercise. Now, are you feeling well today? Generally, that would be a yes, but again, any of these answers other than the first one are not going to disqualify you. Have you had an allergic reaction to a previous dose of COVID vaccine? Now, again, if they haven't had the first dose, they're not likely to have had an allergic reaction. So again, the answer would be most likely no. Have you received any vaccine in the last 14 days? So they're really asking several questions just to ensure that the individual hasn't received the vaccine before. So it should be a no. And then, have you received any passive antibody treatment? And they'll say, well, you know, I'm not exactly sure what that is. And you just say, well, that's a treatment for COVID-19. And you would most likely know. And again, if they don't know, it's okay to put they don't know. Okay. And again, these are screening questions that the vaccinators will be asking anyway. And then, do you have a bleeding disorder, or are you taking blood thinner? And you'll see below, I've got a note that people will say, well, I'm taking aspirin. Well, aspirin, you know, technically is not a blood thinner. And then we have to ask the questions. Most of our seniors will get a very good laugh. And again, you're supposed to ask this question, whether male or female, are you breastfeeding? And then we've got another one over here that's equally as humorous to some of our folks. So this is the question about, have you had an allergic reaction to any other injectable medication? You know, have you had a bad reaction? And again, that's not going to automatically disqualify them. It's just when the vaccinator, you know, sees this information, they'll know we need to keep, you know, a careful, and this person will need to be under observation for 30 minutes, you know, rather than the 15. And then basically with this question, I just said, have you ever been treated with an EpiPen? You know, one of those pens that they stick you with if you start having a epileptic seizure. Again, typically they're going to say no, but if they say yes or they don't know, that's perfectly fine. Have you had a positive COVID test? Again, some people have, most haven't, but again, that's okay. That's not going to disqualify them. And then do you have a weakened system caused by HIV? And again, most people will say, no, I've never had HIV, but again, it's not going to disqualify them. And then some of our seniors, and both male and female, will get a good laugh at this. Are you pregnant, or do you plan to become pregnant? And then, have you ever had an allergic reaction to what I typically say, you know, medications that are in laxatives or a part of a colonoscopy procedure? And again, these are all just markers that potentially, you know, tell the vaccinators to keep a closer eye on this person. Again, the only ones that will disqualify anybody about, you know, if, again, this is a first dose clinic, so if they've already had the first dose, or if they've had, you know, received the vaccine in the last 14 days. Those are the two things that would disqualify them. And then, have you had a reaction to polysorbate? So, as I noted before, again, I've tried to put all these notes. Aspirin is not considered a blood thinner, so that kind of goes to this question right here. And then this polysorbates, which most people don't know what it is, and they'll say, I don't know what that is. So here's the definition, and I don't know that that helps a whole lot, but again, you know, and to me, when your typical person says, I don't know what that is, I typically have not tried and offer an explanation, but here is one that's kind of pulled off the internet if you want to try to answer that, okay? And then allergic reaction to PEG, as I just said, I typically say that's the medicine that's in laxative or colonoscopy procedures. And again, that's dealing with this question right here. All right, so again, once you go through that, you'll save and continue. So then it takes us to our next and really final place, which is very straightforward, consent for services. So everybody at this clinic is receiving the Moderna vaccine. So you'll click in the blue box up there with an arrow, okay? And you'll let the person know you'll be receiving the Moderna vaccine, which is the one most commonly used in Virginia. This is the one that those of you who have been volunteering does not require the ultra cold storage, but this is what we're using at this Petersburg clinic. And then you say, now since I've registered you over the phone, I'll be recording your verbal consent from the questions you ask over the phone so that you're all signed up for your vaccine. So you're just letting them know you're going to do a verbal consent. This is a process that's been approved, by the Attorney General's office, and we're using it all over the state, and the call center's using it. So basically what that is, you click here that says type full name, and you'll put their first name here, then you'll put their second name, and let me just blow this up a little bit for you here too so you can see it. Might be too big. So you can see, and again, if this was Murray Jones, it'd be Murray here, Jones, and then you just type verbal consent and your first initial and your last name. Okay, and again, as an MRC, you don't assume any liability. You're protected under the VDH umbrella. That's why, we could only have MRC volunteers do this, because you guys have had training, you understand, protected information, and you've already been working, with various units. So then you go down here in relation to the parent, a patient, you push self. And what that does is when they get their immunization record, it'll have their name, their first and last name of who has the vaccination, but under the signature line, it'll say verbal consent and the first initial and last name. And again, that's the reason we have first initial, is just to give you a little bit more, not protection, but, the fact that, you're volunteering. And so as I said before, you type your name in the blue box. I'll type my name, the person's name, in the first line. In the second line, verbal consent with first initial, last name. So the person's name was Murray Jones, in second last name box, verbal consent, B. Edmonds, which is my name, okay? So then part 6 is your quick review, which, back up to our thing here. Now you're at part 6, the review. Again, the nice thing about it, it's a very intuitive form. So all this does is you just scan down it for any obvious error. And again, I'm going to do a live thing here in just a minute so you can see exactly how it works. So quickly scan for any obvious areas, but you do not need to review this with the individual. Okay, you scroll down the page and obviously hit save and continue. Now, if you were to find some error, all you do is go here to your browser and click back, and it'll move you from phase to phase to phase. Say you found that you instead of spelling Edmonds with a U, you put it with an O, and you saw that when you went back through it. If you just hit your back browser like this, it will take you from stage to stage to stage, and you'll find it saves all of your information. So that's a nice part about the way the form is designed. So, all right, so you just quickly review, save, and continue. So now you're at your appointment. Now you're at when you can actually give the person an appointment. So you again, remind people, remember these appointments are for Friday, the 19th of February 19th at Petersburg High School. So we have times available from, and that's when you'll look at the available times, which are here. So we've got 40, since this is a big clinic, we got 40 appointments every 10 minutes. But obviously, as you guys start making appointments, the first time somebody makes an appointment for, 8 a.m., that'll now be, 37, 36. So as this gets further in the process, over the weekend or later today, you'll see the appointments will get filled up, and but you'll see the appointments go all the way till I think 4:45 or something. So again, as long as they're appointments, you can continue to put them in, but we're looking, for a goal of each person to do, 10 appointments. And then obviously you put save and continue, and then you tell the individual, provided they have an email. Now, if they don't have an email, obviously they can't get a confirmation. So when you go through this screen up here where it asks for an email and there's not one listed with the information they provided as part of the sign up for the consent, obviously you won't have one here, and it says here, not providing email will keep you from receiving the vaccination report or the notification. So you may ask them if you didn't provide one, Mr. Edmonds, do you have an email, or does your son or daughter or someone, that you trust have an email, so we can make sure you get a reminder appointment, for this clinic that's coming up this Friday. So basically, the fact that we're working with seniors here, we want to really be as clear as we can with them at every phase, but at least my experience, since I did a few yesterday, I really didn't have any questions. Most people were just so excited to get it. So again, this particular thing, Mr. Edmonds, you said you wanted a 9:30 appointment. We're able to get one for you. So here's where you see, you picked your 9:30 appointment. And then as in everything, you save and continue. So, Mr. Jones, you're going to receive an email confirmation. You should receive confirmation confirming your appointment at Petersburg High School. Now, these are all people that live in Petersburg, Dinwiddie, Hopewell, and Prince George, so they all should know where Petersburg High School is, and plus it's the address is on the top of the confirmation, okay, at the time given. So this is just kind of a final admonishment. This is also written on the reminder that they get, so please wear a mask. Arrive at your appointment no sooner than 15 minutes early. And again, those of you that have worked clinics know this. Remain in your car until someone asks you to come inside. If you have trouble walking, someone can give you a shot while you remain in the car. And then this is really, really important that we emphasize to people, because we've had issues where a lot of people just kind of come to a clinic thinking that we're going to be accepting walk-ins. So again, no one other than you is allowed inside the building. Also, remember, this clinic is for appointments only, so anyone without an appointment will be turned away, okay? Again, you're just trying to be as clear as you can with these folks. So then you ask, at the end, Ms. Jones, do you have any other questions? And you say you should receive your email confirmation now. And I try to end it, with a thanks. The Virginia Department of Health, should be capital H here, is glad that you're able to receive the vaccine. So, and then you'll get this screen once you hit continue here at the end. Then you'll get this screen. You'll put OK. And here's what the email confirmation looks like. So it gives them, the address of the school and the time, and if they need to reschedule or cancel. So really it's a really good way to provide them information. So if they don't have an email, I would encourage you to say, hey, does your son or daughter, have an email that we might be able to send this to? All right, I'm going to stop sharing and get back here. Okay. All right, so let's see if there's any questions. Okay.
Bill, I'm going to turn it over to Alicia. We've been putting the questions in a place that she can read those off to you if you don't mind.
All right, well, I can see them now.
Okay.
All right, you guys got a lot of good questions. So let's see. We've got some good nurses out here that know a lot more about this than I do, so this is really good. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's get back up. Okay. So if you've been reading them, either please have them answer all these questions. Okay. If they do not have an email address, normally these do not go to spam. So it's a, you know, as you can see from the thing, they typically don't go to spam. We need the answers to be the ones you've answered to correct. Persons without email addresses, you know, you don't technically have to have an email address to receive an appointment, but again, I would, you know, ask them if they have a close relative or son or daughter. I know it says that insurance will be charged, but there, you know, we don't collect any insurance information, and you know, so we just kind of go right through that. Yes, the insurance will not be charged, and again, we're not collecting any insurance information whatsoever. So on that drop down, you just put, I think it says no insurance. We've noted all questions answered. Okay. Yeah, I think that's, this says older people give their children's email, yes. And you actually have some instances where the person you'll be talking to is the daughter or the son. So as long as you can confirm that, you know, maybe by asking the, because you've got the birth date on the sheet information I'll give you. Just, you know, can you tell me how old Mrs. Jones is? Because, again, you want to receive. Yes, I will definitely send out the Word document with the spreadsheet. Yes, insurance is free, so you just record no insurance on the form. At this point, we're not registering for second vaccine, you know, during this particular exercise, just because this is what's called a private clinic, and you're not going to have access to register for the second vaccine. So if for some reason they've had the first vaccine, they should be hearing from their local health department, because we're supposed to be, you know, doing the first and second appointments at the same time. And at this clinic, we'll have people doing tablets, setting the second vaccine. No, the system does not automatically schedule the second appointment. The second appointment is typically scheduled during the observation period. We have people at this clinic and others that are using tablets to do that, because it's really hard to chase people down. And again, if they've received a different vaccine in the last 14 days, I don't think it'll allow you to make the appointment. You know, it wouldn't let you go any further. So if they've received the first dose, then again, this is a first dose clinic. So you would just stop the process there, and I would mark them as someone who's orange on the list as receiving the first dose. Okay, yeah, so Arthur Ashe is really a well-run clinic, as is the racetrack, you know. In this particular clinic, we're only using Moderna in a case. Obviously, if they've had a Pfizer first dose, they get a Pfizer second dose. But again, we're only doing first doses here. Not because it's not realistic. We know which vaccine will. Yeah, and I agree. You know, this is a tool that's available in 20 different states. So the reality is we just have to accept what we have. But we are doing only Moderna in this clinic. And if somebody really doesn't want Moderna, they want Pfizer, you know, just say thank you. You know, we'll keep you on the wait list, and at some point they can probably get Pfizer. You don't have to mention the name, but I think it puts people at ease that they're going to get Moderna. But, you know, okay, so it's not for epilepsy. Okay, so obviously that shows my lack of medical knowledge. So just, you know, read the question. So a lot of seniors on blood thinners. So it's not a contraindication of we've gone all the way down here. Not a contraindication, so I guess you guys know that obviously a lot better than I do. So let's get back to the questions. Right now we don't have a list of people by, at least on our current waiting list, but you'll find we're rolling a new waiting list out early next week. The governor will be announcing it, and it will have Spanish and other languages captured there. So at that point, absolutely, we will need people helping us, using, for Spanish bilingual speakers especially. If you complete your list, and depending on how many people we have signed today, absolutely, I'd love for you to take another list. Like I said, now the 750-person call center is a virtual center that's manned, but depending on how much additional volume we need, we may well establish a MRC call center, and again, I think you guys, your success, and I know you'll be very successful with this thing. So if, again, if the technology is an impediment for you, then you can certainly try it. And if it's not something that works for you, like I said, we've got, sounds like people that are willing to do more than the 15 names. At some point, we'll definitely need our bilingual folks. Apples generally will convert Excel sheets. So, but you just have to try it. If for some reason it doesn't work, just email me back and say, hey, you know what, I can't help because if you can't see everything on my screen, you're going to be able, like I said, we'll send out the actual document so you can, no, we will not have a system where your personal phone number is masked. So again, if that's an issue for you, then, I don't know what to tell you. We're doing a public service and you're a volunteer, and again, if we had you making the calls from a VDH office, it could be masked, but that's not the way we're doing this. So some people, again, they may not answer the call, but I don't know what else we do. We're doing this to help out the Crater Health District. Generally the spouse technically doesn't have to be over 65 just because, everybody needs to get vaccinated. And I've had a number of people tell me, I'm the one that drives my spouse. So again, if they've got a spouse that's somewhere close to 65, you're welcome to add them. Obviously having an 804 number is better than not having one, but, we'll just see. And again, if you can't reach people, you'll just send your spreadsheet back with it in yellow, and between me and potential other volunteers, we'll get everybody called until we get to 2,000 people filled up. The second person doesn't have to be over 65, and again, obviously, most people will say is, can I also get my husband to, one person may be on the wait list, and they'll say, can my husband also sign up? And again, it's only kind of common sense that you allow both of them. Yes, the document will be sent out to everyone. Try to get 10, but if you get 12, it's not bad. And again, the other folks will go back on the list. You'll see the list is numbered. So if for some reason on your list you get through number 12, but and you have your 10 and 13, 14, and 15 don't get called, then they'll go back on the list, and we'll be doing plenty of other, things. So we'll make sure people retain their place on the list. I would take count the spouse in your 10. But if you've got, let's say, the first person is your 10th person, then it's okay to make the spouse the 11th. And again, we're registering 2,000 people here, so we don't have a way to mask your number. I think if you identify yourself as being a volunteer with the health department, again, I called a bunch of people from my house and I'm sitting here in a basement in Midlothian, and haven't had a problem at all. No, I don't know of a way to change your number. And again, if the spouse is not 65, that's fine. Again, we're trying to get everybody vaccinated, as I said before. Again, sometimes people don't answer the call. Well, if they don't answer, then we just go to the next person on the list. So does it matter if one or both vaccines? Anybody that's had the first vaccine would not be eligible for this clinic since this is a first dose vaccine. Yeah, Apple will open any spreadsheet. It shouldn't be a problem, but yeah, if you don't get to people, just highlight them as yellow, or you could leave them as white, either one. Just main thing is green shows the people that you've reached, and the main thing is yellow is people that you weren't able to get to, because again, we want to put them back on the wait list to be fair. I guess if they don't want to be vaccinated, I would just mark them as orange. But again, these are all people who physically went out to the VDH or Crater Health District website. So at least at that point in time, they wanted, to be vaccinated. Well, you want to stop once you get to 10 people. Like I said, if assuming that we have 200 people, do this, it's not going to allow the 2001 person to get registered anyway. So you want to, if best you can, stop at your 10, except for if number 10 is someone they want their spouse, that would be number 11. So if you're not computer savvy enough, that's perfectly fine. The fact that we've got so many people, and you'll find, like I said, I can do them in about 5 minutes. No, typically, if they've got a brother, sister, or child, we don't typically, do that person, except for if for some reason they were able to tell you they had underlying medical conditions. But, and again, just so you know, the practice of Virginia Department of Health is we don't ask for any kind of verification of underlying medical conditions, but at least I didn't encounter anyone asking. But typically, we don't want to, vaccinate anybody under 65 except for a spouse that will be, driving the person. Yes, I'm going to email this document out to everybody. No, this is they said my grandparents, are in need of a vaccine. What we're doing at the health department, and that's the reason we're using you guys, we're trying to be as equitable as we can relative to, making sure we work right off the wait list. So again, this is the wait list for the Crater Health District. And so no, I believe I've got probably 100 people that I know have asked me for appointments, and just, out of a sense of duty, I just say, you know what, you need to get on your local wait list, which again, all of these people have done. So if they don't answer, to me, I would just mark them yellow, and then, try them back later in the day, try them back on Monday. But, at the end of the day, if for whatever reason the person doesn't pick up the phone, we obviously can't give them the appointment, over the phone. If they can't come on that day or they don't have transportation, it's got in the document, email they get, it has a link. But if they generally don't have transportation, you can recommend they call the local social service. I know Petersburg Social Services will physically call and come and get people. Yes, the link will be in the actual document. But using their phone, you can. Okay, so some people have given a way to use this Google Voice. I have to drop out and come back. I do not see any screen sharing. I don't know about LibreOffice Calc. Somebody's asking about that. Okay, so people have been doing this already. So it's exactly the same thing. If you've been doing it at AshCenter or others, and I think you'll find it's pretty quick process. Actually, I can tell this person has been working in VAMS. So VAMS is the system that we're getting away from now. We're using PrepMod. So in this PrepMod tool, you don't, it doesn't tie each person to a particular email. So actually both husband and wife can have the same email and they'll both get appointments. So that's a benefit of this system. The call center right now, will be, it's run by a private firm, but given, what I hope will be a very successful outreach today, we may well set up an MRC call center, that would help seniors just like you guys are doing today. So if they don't want a vaccine, I would mark them as orange, which means, we'll take them off the wait list because they said they were, they said they wanted it and we had them on the wait list and now they don't want it. Right? We should never assume gender. So we want to ask that question. I'll be sending this out. Let me see. Race and ethnicity, I think, is a required field on my document. Let's see. It may very well have race and ethnicity may have not willing to provide, but obviously, if they don't want to provide it, they don't. I think it is required. I think it's not. Yeah. So I'll be sending out a Word document because it's easy to copy the race. Yeah, they prefer not to answer. That's always an option. No, we do not need to take insurance information. No insurance. No, we do not need insurance information. If they don't have an email address, again, we want to ask them, do they have a friend or a sibling or somebody that could get the email? Do not need health info. Yes, no insurance. Someone from a number I don't reckon asked me these questions, and I would suspect a scam and not answer. Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, I called, like I said, 30 people from my home phone yesterday, and they all took my call, and it seemed to work well. All you can say is that you're an MRC with the Virginia Department of Health. I think we're getting the same questions. Without an email address, again, they can still set the appointment, but if they don't have an email address, my recommendation would be, okay, Mary Jones, can you want to write this down? It's at Petersburg High School at 9:30 on next Friday, 2/19. Okay. So no insurance will be charged. Okay. Yeah, a lot of older people will definitely have their email go to their children's email, which is fine. Again, they get to choose where they want to go, and I'll definitely send out the Word document when I send out the information. Again, no insurance charges. Again, we're not registering for the second vaccine here. No, it does not automatically schedule the second dose. That's an enhancement we've asked. Again, if they've had any first dose, they won't be able to go to this clinic because it's a first dose clinic. Second dose. Again, at this particular event, it will only be Moderna, so it won't be any Pfizer. The vaccine choice is not, it's everything at this is Moderna. So that's the only thing we, have option. If for some reason the person doesn't want Moderna, then just tell them we'll keep them on the wait list. You mark them basically as a yellow, and then, and I'm sorry about the EpiPen. That's my lack of understanding. Another question about the blood thinners. And again, those of you that have a stronger medical background than me, you're certainly welcome to, be more specific in your answers. Again, this is a first dose. Are we letting people know that they may need a doctor to know they had a previous reaction? To my knowledge, that's not part of the process that I've been provided relative to helping people sign up. So I don't really know about the certain blood thinner that's listed here. So, Again, this is a first dose clinic. So yes, if for some reason, they've already had a first dose, yeah, you could stop the interview right there. Same way, the vaccine in 14-day, okay, also mean flu and shingles. So I guess that's not a disqualifier, as I may have said. If they've already had the first vaccine, then you just mark them orange on your sheet, which means they don't need to be on the wait list anymore. They should be getting called from their first vaccine. Yes, you're exactly right. If they've had a previous reaction, that would mean a 30-minute observation. The polysorbate, they should know it if they've had a reaction. Again, I didn't have anybody with that. Yeah, basically you're acting as a scribe for the person that you're calling. It's a good way to think about it. You should read the question presented. It should mark the answer that it gave you exactly. I think that's a wise choice. I don't know about the shingles vaccine, but again, that would be something that at the time they're vaccinated, that the health professional there, again, somebody saying the blood thinner doesn't disqualify the person, the blood thinner doesn't disqualify. More questions about the 14 days. Okay, the 14 days doesn't disqualify. Again, I think someone said it right. You record the answers and let the health professionals deal with whether anything is disqualifying. Petersburg High School is, I think it's 3,100, which you'll see at the very top of the sheet. That Sendite has that. No, the clinic will not take any walk-ins. At this point, we're going to be setting appointments for 2,000 people. So, and they got, I think they've got, 12,000 list folks. So, the people you'll be calling will be living in Hopewell, Petersburg, Dinwiddie, and Prince George. So when we specifically talked about MRC, we did not include anyone from Crater Health District. And if you, for some reason, you know somebody on the list, then you're a volunteer and you've been trained how to deal with this information. Again, if they don't have email, it just means they won't get a confirmation of their appointment. If they don't have transportation, they should call their local social services. If they come to the event with a small child, I guess, the Petersburg Police Department will be running security, so I guess they'd let the child inside. I'm not exactly sure. Yes, the list of appointments updates in real time. So as, one appointment's grabbed, it will go away from the list. This is a cloud-based application. Yes, the group will be notified when it's time to come inside. We'll have greeters outside that'll say, okay, now, 9 o'clock appointments, come inside, probably at like 10 minutes to 9, and we'll be obviously watching social distance. We should have interpreters there on site. Yeah, we're going to have, actually the sports backers have agreed to come, and they're going to have golf carts, and so they'll definitely be help getting people in the building. And my understanding is that someone who is not able to get into the building, that they will physically come out to the car and help them. Yes, the second shot will be scheduled on site during the observation period. The only people that each of you should be calling are those people that are on your list, because again, we're working from the top of the list to the bottom of the list. You could copy and paste the names, but at least for me personally, I found it easier to just go and type those in. If you finish your 10 and we have people that aren't able to finish theirs, then I may go out with a second round. But a question here about competency. Generally you have to assume the person is competent to ask the questions. But I had a couple of people say, my son or my daughter is here with me, or I had at least one person say, I signed my mom and dad up. So she was able to help them get signed up. Again, the second shot should be scheduled on site. The first, Yes, there's a second registration for the second person, so you just go through the whole process all over again. I don't know whether the flu or pneumonia would have any impact on the vaccine, but I think, again, the staff doing the vaccination would make that call. So if the person doesn't have email, then all that means is they won't get a confirmation. You can still sign them up even if they don't have an email, but obviously we'd like for them to have them. Generally, the Virginia Department of Health does not require people to bring an ID with them, but if they want to bring an ID, it's never a bad idea. I don't personally know whether shingles vaccine would disqualify them, but, to me, our job is to get people signed up, and I think someone said it right, probably best before, to just read the questions as they are without trying to interpret them. Register the other person. I guess if the second person is over 65 and even if they're not on the list, if they're involved in transportation or something like that, it's okay, again, to sign them up. Just if the person's spouse is not on the list but wants to be vaccinated, yes, just add them to the list, but count them in your total. If they can't provide an email relative, just ask them to write the information down. Unfortunately, we don't have a way of dealing, at least as far as this process. People didn't identify themselves as Spanish speakers. So I guess if you have someone on your list that's a Spanish speaker, just highlight that, type a note in your email back to me or something, because you're going to be returning your spreadsheets to me, and I will make sure we get somebody with bilingual skills to call that person. So if they can't make it on February 19th, just let them know that, they'll remain on the wait list, and we will get to them with our very next ones. At this point, we only have email relative to the confirmations. Again, generally, we don't require ID for the Virginia Department of Health because we don't want undocumented individuals to feel any way threatened. But it's never a bad idea to bring it. Yes, they'll be notified when it's time to come in. Looks like she sent the information on the training. If we finish your list, can we call more? You can just send me back your list, and then anybody that either hasn't, finished their list, again, we'll give till Tuesday at noon for people to finish their list. But again, what we'll do is anybody who would like to do more after they've done their first list, as people get turned in, we'll send you a list of people who they weren't able to contact. Yes, I think Firefox works as well as Chrome. If you speak with son or daughter, do you put their last name down on the verbal consent part? I guess you could put, if they're signing up the individual, yes, you put their name, and then you put verbal consent, your name. Access to Google Chat, questions from the docs. Can you clarify verbal consent section 2? I put the senior's name or my name or both. So on the very first line, you put the senior's first name, Mary. In the second line, you put Jones. And then after Jones, you put verbal consent, your first initial, your last name. Again, that's clear on the document I'll send out. And again, if they don't have an email, hopefully we can send it to someone they know. But if not, they just need to write it down. Again, I don't think we answer the questions. They answer the questions as we present them, and somebody else will determine if they're eligible for the vaccine. Again, other than a spouse or another family member who qualifies, would we be signing up? So again, if the spouse is close to age 65 and generally driving the person there, we would allow them to sign up. We get very upset when they think they actually had a choice and signed off. Well, they really don't have a choice in this particular instance. I mean, it's a Moderna vaccine, and at least for my thought process, if they were doing it online themselves, they could clearly see it was Moderna. So again, if they don't want Moderna vaccine, we keep them on the wait list, and we'll send them if they get an issue and not sure to address. Again, if you're not able to finish the questions, or at some point they don't want to answer the questions, just thank them for their time and mark them as yellow. Again, I don't think we want to get into questions about what vaccines qualify or don't qualify. I think we want to let our health professionals deal with that. So again, if you get 10 people signed up, you just stop and email me the spreadsheet back with the 10 people, and those others that are on the list, I'll put them back on the wait list, and depending on where we are Tuesday at noon, those that are, willing and able to do more, we'll get to them. If you don't have a question that doesn't get answered, you can email me. My email is at the bottom of the document. I'm not going to get into how to mask your number. So, I would, like I said, if you get the 10 appointments, I would stop at that point, and then we'll reassess at Tuesday at noon. If we have additional people, and when you send me back your list, say, Bill, hey, I'd love to do more. So the Google Voice, maybe somebody can document exactly how to do that, but calls back. Yeah, that's why I don't leave a message, because generally, to me, first of all, you don't know about the PII, who might pick up the phone, and so generally I recommend you not leave messages. 67 hides your number, but you might risk picking up. Yes, you add the spice to the Excel sheet if you end up having them. Yes, a separate entry. That's the reason, we're having 200 people call and allowing each of you to make, 10 appointments. So we should have enough for the 2,000 people. And yes, add the spice to the Excel sheet when you send it back. Someone imagine just add the spice to the Excel sheet and carry on like you would. That's perfect. They refuse the vaccine color. I guess if they don't want the Moderna vaccine, just you stop the call there, and like I said, we'll leave them on the wait list. What is the secret phrase for this training? Basically, I'll send you the password in the email when I send you the group of people. If clients already had the first dose, then really there's no need to, continue the discussion, because again, we're setting first doses. Again, a secret phrase will be a very simple thing about how to open the Excel sheet. Yes, you enter the spice's name on the sheet. Then wants the vaccine. If they don't want the vaccine, then we put them on, put them on orange on your sheet, because they may have registered, but now they don't want to. If they've got a spice but they're not a sibling, I guess if that sibling is 65 and that person is driving them, yes, you could add them. But generally, we're working the wait list other than siblings. I've done a lot of collection work in my previous life, and normally you don't make any calls after 9, but hopefully these are calls, you can make during the daytime. I think someone said here stick between 9 a.m. and 7 or 8 p.m. I think that's really good advice. If we finish our list, can we collect another 15? Yes, again, depends on how many people ultimately want to do this. And they're supposed to send me an email list, and I'll be cranking those out in the next few minutes here. Again, there's no problem with people in the same house using the same address, email address. They'll both get signed up. Again, that's a issue with VAMs. Yes, we're using PrepMod now, not VAMs. Your Apple computer should still work. Is the spreadsheet automatically updated so we're not overbooking the same appointment? It's a web-based application, so it's not going to give you an appointment slot if it's already full. If the person doesn't answer the call, you can, I guess if you want to try to text them, generally, I've been doing phone calls only. I think we've gone to that. Apple, we're talking about a lot of technology stuff. Yeah, so you reach 10 people, then you basically want to stop and just either leave the other people white or yellow. It's going to be the same thing. Either it didn't reach them, they'll go back on the wait list. Text, again, someone can help them get, again, the Richmond Police and the sports backers will be there to help people. Again, if you've got someone other than English language, probably email me that person and I'll arrange to get someone with Spanish to call them back. No, we just want to click no insurance because we're not collecting insurance. No, we can't add anybody to the wait list. They have to go through the official Department of Health wait list. Again, don't put any insurance in there. Again, blood thinners don't disqualify. And again, I think someone said it best, our job is to ask the questions. And, yeah, that 3101 Johnson Road is the location. After arrival at the site, they'll have people that tell them to come inside. Yeah, the information should be correct on the spreadsheet. That's what the person put when they did the interest form. Do we have the social services number? I mean, that's something that they should know. But Petersburg I think is very good about making sure people get there. Okay, so you could have a child attend with the adult. Okay. Reactions, EpiPens. Typically, they don't need to bring an ID because, again, the Virginia Department of Health doesn't require an ID. Allergic reactions, should we tell them to bring a doctor's note? I would leave that to someone else. To me, gosh, I think our job is just to set the appointment. If for some reason they get here and they're not able to do the appointment, then we'd leave that to, medical professionals. Okay, some of the same questions we've asked before. Yeah, the sports backers are really a strong partner in this event. Okay, looks like we're getting down to the end. And Arthur Ashe, okay, so they're asking people to bring theirs. Okay. Yeah, I will, again, send out the information as soon as I get the, okay. So it sounds like we're getting various things about some people need IDs, others don't. So, again, this is a valid call. Don't know about the doctor's note. A lot of different personal anecdotes here. Okay. So after 10, just finish up and email it back. Again, you may not get all 10, but, good. I mean, I tried to do a very detailed presentation, so hopefully, thanks. I think I've answered the questions. So, all right, looks like we've got all the questions answered. So, Andrea, if you can just send me the list of people, with their emails that, want to be involved in this. And again, after having heard this, if you don't want to be involved, that's okay too. And then I'll be sending out the email packets as I develop them. It'll take me a few hours to do that. And then, just at any point, anybody can email me. And I think we're kind of out of time relative to doing the live demo, but you'll see it doesn't take long to do the registration, and it's exactly, the detailed the way I've shown here. So, Andrea, any final words before we sign off?
Yes. Thank you, Bill, for a great presentation, and thank you for everyone who tuned in today. There is in the chat box a link that we need you to complete. It's an attendance form. to basically say that you attended the training today, and the secret phrase is COVID-19 vaccine rocks. If you can put that in the secret phrase, and Bill, we will send that attendance form to you, and you will have everyone's information there for you to contact them with the Excel sheet. And that's pretty much it for us on today.
And I really thank you. You know, like I said, I'm in charge of vaccine distribution for the whole state, so I'm, you know, personally helping out, you know, the Crater Health District, and from my understanding, they have not had a real strong MRC in the past, but I'd like to think this is, you know, this is a kind of event that will build a much stronger MRC, and I know Richmond, Henrico, Chickahominy, you guys are fabulous. I mean, all throughout, I was involved in contact tracing. You guys were there. You've been involved in the testing. Now you're involved, you know, in this Chesterfield Rocks too. Yeah, so MRC is, just so you guys know, we could not begin to do the things that we've done with the health department without all of your help. So you guys are really valued, and I know you guys will do a great job with this as well. So, and again, this may be the start of a, you know, Richmond Metro, you know, senior outreach calling center to help, you know, those that don't have technology. So I really thank all of you, and again, you have any problems, just reply to my email, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And then, depending on where we are, Tuesday at noon, I may send out some more folks, but, you know, some more folks to do lists, and I'll do some myself because I actually enjoy doing this. So thanks, everybody, so much, and enjoy your weekend. And as soon as I get the list, I'll start sending out the packet, and email me with any questions. And thank you guys so much. All right, Andrew, I'm going to sign off now, okay?